Why did it just cut off?
I think you're live, Pastor. You're good.
Am I live right now? All right, are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah, it stopped for us too, Melissa. Sorry about that. Sorry, guys. I'm waiting for it to come up on our Facebook here. I'm waiting to refresh.
You're back.
Big Brother cut us off.
That's
They
what it
didn't,
was.
they didn't like what they were saying.
Hey.
The deep state.
I can finally blame Nick for something in the sound booth and not me.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. He said he wasn't even in there, and I said exactly.
We're back. All right.
No, that's not your fault.
Okay.
Sometimes it just does that.
All right, we didn't lose. I don't think we lost most of our viewing audience. I think they're back with us. All right, good. Thank you guys for staying with us. Sorry for that. Hopefully, if we go dead again, we may just be having technical issues, or they may have just blown up our church. But anyway,
The deep state.
all right. So we were talking about let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. We were talking about Hebrews 10:25, not forsaking the assembling of yourselves, and how. Where is the balance? Where do we find the balance when the government comes in and says,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to assemble,
Right.
okay? But I think that you can't, just as much as those verses are verses of Scripture, you can't negate Leviticus chapter 11, and we could go through the whole, that whole chapter, which it talks about how it gives the Jews instructions, and Deke has been going through Leviticus here with his class. So he's probably more of an expert on this right now than I am. But just going through there, you go through the book of Leviticus, and there are tons of different laws and rules about separating yourself and what is clean, what's acceptable to eat, what's not acceptable to eat. When a woman is going through her time of the month, issues like that, she needs to separate herself, and just all these, washing your hands, and all these different laws as far as cleanliness and all these things that because they didn't have modern conveniences and all these different things back then. So the Bible gave the Jews some laws for cleanliness and different things, which all of the heathen nations around them didn't have. And so, as we go through these laws and these rules, it's not just about, some of it is about, spiritual and being sanctified and separated and all those things. But some of those things are, are in place, I believe, as a cleanliness factor. And specifically separating somebody who's unclean with leprosy or something along those lines from the rest of the group. Why? In order to protect the rest of the group. Mm-hmm. And so, that right there is a biblical mandate that quarantines kind of are God's plan too, and God realizes that these things are in place. So what the government is doing right now, the government's job is to protect the citizens, to protect their freedoms, right? Mm-hmm. But I have a freedom to be alive. And so my freedom can be impinged upon, if that's the word. Infringed upon, sorry. Impinge is a word too, I know it is. Somebody look up the definition for me. But anyway, my freedoms can be infringed upon if there are other people that are walking around that are going to get me sick and possibly cause me to die. So I honestly, and again, this is more of a kind of a biblical answer. I know that there are other people that could come on and say, or maybe you're watching, you have a little bit different of an opinion. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. These are all fringe subjects. We're not talking about salvation by grace through faith alone. We're not talking about core doctrines of the faith. But as I see this, I support what the government is doing right now in quarantining, including saying, hey, let's back off assembling right now because we don't want to transmit any of this, this disease. We're living in a broken world, and that's what we're, unfortunately, that's what we're dealing with.
Right.
Now, again, the fear is, I think there's a lot of distrust within the government, and the fear is that
right. The
media,
distrusting media.
We distrust the media big time.
Yeah.
And we distrust